Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning. That's right. He's back. Not as grumpy as he has been the last God knows how many freaking months, but he's here by contract on a Monday over here, and so is Matush. Not by
Hey.
contract, but still here. What's up?
Oh wait, what was that I signed last year then? I I
Don't
need
worry
to
about that.
I need to go back and check over all that paperwork because I don't realize why else I'm here then. No, but good weekend. Valentine's Day. So as someone who works in the jewelry industry, it was a busy day, and then got to go home and watch Liverpool put in a really good performance, and then yesterday we had a back to back in basketball, and we won both games. The second one in double overtime. So it was a good weekend overall, man.
Good sport weekend. Yes, I started the Saturday with a Fenerbahce win, and then which was a tough away win, and then I was like, okay, this went great. Let's just hope this goes great too with the Liverpool game. And yeah, it went a lot better than I could have thought of. It probably was the most comfortable win in a long time. I don't know if it was because the FA Cup that I didn't stress as much, if it was like 1-0 and stuff, but like felt more comfortable than the Newcastle one, for example.
Yeah, I think because the performances across the pitch were just good. Like they were just all good. There wasn't a particular player that had a stinker of a game. So I think when you have the first, I know that there was no goal till the 41st minute, but when you have the 11 guys on the pitch playing well, right? There is that element of, okay, yes, there is nothing to show on the scoreboard right now, so to speak, but the performances so far have been good that it lets you kind of sit back a little, go, okay, it's coming. It's one of those where you feel like it's coming, and then it goes in, and you're like, okay, I don't have the same dread that I had before. So it was. I think it was a good result overall. I would just love to say real quick, I don't know if I love, but how convenient and hilarious are some of these social media fan channels that have been slagging Slot for 2 months, and then as soon as a win happens, they go, Slot in? Look, do we keep him? It's like, just shut the fuck up. You're annoying as hell. I hate those people so much. I hate them so much.
Dude, you should have seen. This is my barometer for the Slot out gang. Flags at half mast again. I don't even know if they roll. I think like they pulled it up a little bit in the beginning of the Brighton game, and it just like went right back down to half mast over there. But I don't know. The thing that's funny you say that, because I'm not there yet with this team, because I worried even in the Sunderland game, because we haven't had like a show with you since Sunderland game. I was so worried that it was such a good performance that I was like, you know what, it's going to be a bullshit goal or something like that we concede, and then people are going to forget about this performance. So that's why I kept like throughout the game, this is good, right? Let's be all on the same page now, so that if the result changes, it changes, kind of a deal. Bob says we create our own narratives. No, like I use this chat as a barometer of Slot out people. So when we won the Sunderland game, it was a lot about Sunderland was shit and Sunderland is not playing well today. Nothing to credit the boys or nothing to credit, what we did. And that was like a really, really tough away win, really. And then this week, it was just like I literally had somebody say that they thought it was a lot of like player hating watching going on, which we have some in our Discord as well. But some guy literally said Chiesa has played better than Gakpo today.
Chiesa's awful.
Yeah, it's just like it's mind-boggling. So speaking of creating narratives that Bob was talking about, it's kind of like anything but negative kind of a deal. It's just like an overall negative chat over there. Good afternoon to you over there, Chris. There's a lot of player hating, hate watching. Yeah. And usually it's Gakpo right now in the front line. The good old days when we had like Lovren and then Gomez, there's always one guy that, gets more hate watched than others. But I think right now it's Gakpo. Go ahead.
It is Gakpo. And really quick, can I just say, I'm not speaking for 25 million fans, Bob. I don't go on Twitter either. So I'm not.
Why not, damn it? Talk for the people.
The only thing I'm saying is what I said, actually, that you were commenting on, is I said that some of these social media fan channels, i.e., Anfield Agenda, channels like that, if you just go and look at their actual header, their title of the videos that they make, it's so reactionary because all they want are people to come and click on their videos. That's what's the most frustrating thing, is that it doesn't feel like that they are being genuine in what they present as actual club support. It's more of a, what can I put out there to make people the most reactive, the most angry,
Yeah.
et cetera, so that I can drive in the most amount of views. That's all that I'm saying, is that it's so frustrating to see that because there is no honesty in that. It's just crap.
It is just crap, but unfortunately, it's a lot out there right now because it's everybody is fighting for the clicks and the views and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm like, I don't even mind. I'm almost like gotten used to that a bit more. I just don't like the what Chris is saying. The agenda is gross, and yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like you don't want to put it on the general fan base.
I think he's talking about Anfield Agenda specifically.
Oh, okay. I thought you
both,
like people having agendas. That's gross as well.
Both can be gross.
Yeah, not a big fan myself. Not a big fan myself, to be honest with you. Is the Banco Mitur still open for business?
It's President's Day today. We're not going to talk about it.
Oh, that's right.
Federal holiday. Right. We're closed.
That's right. We are closed today. It is President's Day. That's right.
And real quick to Ozan, I think he asked about the jersey. It is not Isle of Man. It is it's a band called Maruja that came out with their own kit just for fun, for sales. And I'm a slut for kits, so I bought one.
Oh, I was like, that could be clipped very dangerously. So let's be careful.
I'm in charge of the clips of this show. So no chance.
I might have to go back and re-edit this. Just get a couple of sound bites out of the show would be great. But no, I mean, you look at the performances throughout. I mean, midweek as well, and then on the weekend. How much of is it just like building blocks? Are you expecting a hiccup again, or are we on the right track now?
I would like to say that we're on the right track, but I feel like every time I take that step forward, I get smacked back a couple steps. So I don't want to get overexcited. I think there is an element that Brighton themselves have. I'm not trying to be on that part of the fan base, but Brighton themselves have not been very good. And Hertzler's job right now is in question if he's trying to keep them in the Prem, pretty much is where we're at right now. Because he, as exciting as he was when he first came to the club, I think at least from what Brighton fans have been saying, he hasn't been able to improve the players on the team as much as you would like a manager to improve the players on a team after being there for so long. So I think their focus is on the Prem and not necessarily on the FA Cup. So maybe their foot was a little bit off the gas. They had some weird frontline rotations on Saturday too. So it is what it is. But again, you can only play who's in front of you, and you can only set up against whoever is set up to play against you. So I think you take this. It's a 3-0. Timuchin and I were talking about it before. If you guys didn't know, this team has had as many wins by 3 goals or more in the last month than they did all of 2025. So I think that's a positive sign too when you look at it. And it's one of those things where you just have to take it positively because it's such a sad, miserable life if you don't. You're muted.
That is a crazy stat, by the way, because it just tells you that all these people are saying like, now we're playing boring this season compared to last season. I think it's about the same. Mind you, we didn't have a lot of wins the first half of the season, aside from like the first 5 weeks. But the Brighton fans are all Timuchin out. Probably everybody's Timuchin out. So just bring it on. I'm not firing. I'm taking my contract. I have a contract. I'm going to honor my contract. They will have to pay me if they're going to fire me. That's the way I'm going. Bob's team works harder, even more trying harder, and Kirk is allowed to play his own game. Yes, actually, 2 good points over there. by Bob in a row. So we should end the week right here while we're on top. But by the way, we have like 12 live viewers right now. There's only one thumbs up. So do us all a favor. If you're watching us live, please hit that thumbs up. Really does help the channel. Going back to earlier, because we do not do the clickbait stuff, we really rely on you guys to hit the thumbs up, do the shares, and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of shares, before I totally forget about this, I do want to put this on here. If you missed the Thursday show, we did like a special show on Thursday. I talked a bit about the Sunderland game, but the main thing was about this foundation we're trying to help, not in terms of collecting funds or anything like that. The fundraising has been done. This is more for like nominees for the Four Steps Foundation. So I put the link in there. Please give it a watch. Share the video as much as possible. We had George on, who kind of like started this whole thing and is part of the committee for the nominations as well. So please do share that as much as possible. Give it a thumbs up. Please give it a watch. It's basically like an edited version of like the Thursday morning show, but kind of like a big deal to be able to help out. It would really, I think BJ was saying it in our Discord channel, it would be pretty darn cool if we had someone through American Scouser get nominated and then be able to go to have the trip to Anfield and stuff like that. So please support that cause with any like fundraising efforts or for anything for the goods. Use the power for the good, I say. Okay, let's go back to Bob's points, because I think both those players, first of all, Mo looking like regular Mo was a little scary in some ways, because I was like, what the hell happened to Ferdi? Because Ferdi Kadıoğlu, like, I really wanted him to come to Liverpool, and he's done well actually at Brighton overall. I mean, last season he was all out injured, but like either Ferdi got really slow or Mo is getting his speed back, because he looked like he was literally jogging past Ferdi a couple of times. So do you put that as, and you know, Slot goes out of his way every time to mention the defensive work that Mo is doing, not only attacking wise and stuff, but are we getting the Mo back slowly, like getting used to the things, or is this kind of like a matchup? I mean, he literally feasted on Ferdi, both physically. I knew he was going to be a lot stronger than Ferdi, because that's Ferdi's weakness. But I was kind of shocked that pace-wise, Ferdi was not even close at times. That was like concerning for the Turkish national team. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, because Ferdi was one of those names that we had thrown around 2 years ago as a possible left back replacement for the future, right? I mean, so that was the thing that we talked about. I think maybe Mo has, and part of it possibly leaked out in that interview that they had with Sobo and Mo post game, that maybe Mo is slowly understanding that his role has really changed a lot and is actually now playing more within that role rather than before. It was still felt very much, hey, I'm a playmaker, go through me. This has to all go through me. I don't need to put in the rate here, the work rate here, there, wherever. So I think overall, it's just an understanding of, if this is how, if I'm going to be able to be on the pitch with these players, this is the kind of stuff I'm going to have to do, which means getting back defensively and playing more within himself rather than trying to over-create and overdo everything. Because I think sometimes he has a habit of, if things aren't clicking, then, I mean, and this goes for a lot of players through a lot of sports, right? Sometimes when things aren't going well, you get in your head and you try to overdo it, and you end up making it even worse because you're trying too much rather than just playing within yourself. So I think overall he's just understanding his role a little better, and I think it helps when everyone else is having a pretty good game around him, because it helps open that up a little bit too. So I don't know if we've turned the Mo corner so much, so to speak, but there is no one else to put in that right wing anyway for right now, unless you play with a narrow two up top, in which case maybe Mo doesn't play. But he's going to have to continue to play the way that he did to make the same kind of impact.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes it's unfair because we want the guy to be like, you know, grab the game from the scruff of the neck kind of a deal. And he does try that. But you're right. I agree with that. Whenever a player tries to do that, it usually kind of backfires. Is Kadıoğlu fast? No. Was Kadıoğlu fast? Yes. I mean, Ferdi was originally a winger, actually. Vitor, who's now in charge of Forest that we're going to play next, used to be in charge of Fenerbahce. He is the one who made him a right wing back then a right back, and then due to an injury, he started playing on the left. The good thing in the past, I was like, man, what a good deal that would be to sign Ferdi, because he wasn't expensive either. I think he was only like 15 or something like that. Because he can play both right back, left back. He can play winger whenever you need it. He can play wing back and stuff. So it was a player that can play multiple positions, and he could do that mainly because he was a wing back and a winger due to his pace. I know he had an injury last season and he was out, but it was a foot injury. It wasn't like an ACL or something like that. I was like shocked to see Mo, like literally they would start together and then Mo would just like freaking like pull away. And I was kind of shocked because I was like, is Mo getting back his pace, or is Ferdi looking more and more like me? So that was kind of worrying, like I say, for the national team kind of thing. So let's flip to the other side where Bob was talking about Kirkers. So do you think we've said, okay, what was this guy doing good? And we're starting to use that? Or is he trying to do more? Is he doing more of it now because he has a bit more of a confidence as opposed to kind of looking over his shoulder all the time?
I think it's more of the latter, because I think there is a genuine amount of nervousness that goes into making a move that big for the amount of money, right? It wasn't little money that he came over.
Yeah.
And it's coming off the back of being voted as the best left back in the league, right? So you make a big money move. You're voted by your peers as the best left back in the league, and now you're playing for this team that has such high standards that mentally, like, it takes a little bit to get there for some, right? And I think it took a lot for him to get there specifically. And I'm glad that we are seeing the performances he's putting in now and actually appreciating them, because to write him off after 10 to 20 games, calling him the next Alberto Moreno and saying all this crap early in the season, it was just sad to see as fans of this club that we wouldn't even give him the opportunity. And I'm not speaking for everyone, Bob, just so you know.
You are not talking for 25 million on Twitter?
Yeah, I guess we don't all have the same mind.
That's
Who would have thought?
That's disappointing that you can't be like
right.
You can't represent like that.
When I can specifically remember comments of people saying these things, that is why I'm saying these things. I can go back and find it right now and pull it up on the screen if you want me to.
I dare you.
No, I can't do that. That's so it's just great to see him play with more confidence. And I think, as you play more with players around you and you get used to each other's tendencies, that also helps, right? I mean, there's a big chunk of, I'm not sure how I'm going to play with this guy because we haven't played with each other before. And it takes a while to learn some of that, especially in a game where you have 11 guys on the pitch and you're instructed to do different things, right? It takes a little bit to get there. And so I'm glad. I think he was the man of the match. Honestly, him and Sobo were absolutely fantastic. So glad he got his assist, and it was great to watch.
Bob says he was instructed to be inverted, stay around Virgil. I don't know if that's what it is, or is it more? I mean, that could be. I'm not saying that's not it. I didn't see him as inverted. I just felt like he didn't push up as much. So, like, he was still out wide, I thought, but he just never made those runs. And I think they're kind of working better with Gakpo right now than they did initially. So Gakpo is kind of utilizing his runs. And since Gakpo likes to cut in, that I know everybody hates, it does leave that lane open for him to run into, which now, I mean, in the past, it was just like a decoy run. I feel like we're utilizing that more and more, like Gakpo dropping it to like McAllister or somebody who's going out wide again to like Kirkes and stuff, kind of like putting those triangles together on the left-hand side that we did not really do a whole lot of early in the season. So I think that's like a huge plus for him. And yes, you're seeing more and more of the Kirkes that we thought we were going to get. I like him defensively too. I have talked about this before. I just wish he would learn more to stay on his feet and not slide tackle as much.
It's like the Connor Bradley syndrome, just a little too slide tackle happy, just a little too eager to get on the ground.
With him, I feel like, even if he does get the ball or he doesn't commit a foul, I worry more that if he misses, now you're on the ground, you gave, like you're not catching up, you gave like 2-3 seconds and stuff. So It was a communication problem. They had to know each other better, says Chris. I'd not catch Verge saying that, but I'm sure that's a huge and I think that's why he's playing. We should kind of like talk about this as well, by the way, about the lineup for Friday, because I mean Saturday. I'm sorry. On Friday, when we were talking with Kazi, this is the lineup that I was expecting and wanted. But Kazi was expecting more of a rotation. Like, he thought like Ramsey would get a shot, Rio would get a shot and stuff like that. I mean, Chiesa obviously got an opportunity. Ekitike was rested and stuff. But what do you make of that? Like, what did you want, I guess, going into this game?
I think I respected the lineup quite a bit. I know we wanted to see maybe a little bit more rotation, but I think Slot is in a position now where we are not going to see rotation for the rest of the year the way that we maybe wanted to have seen it. At least, I mean, this was maybe the last chance to see a real rotation, because the rest of the matches from here on out are going to have huge implications on whether it's the Premier League, whether it's the Champions League, or the FA Cup. So I think what we see now and what we see moving forward is going to be very similar to what we had this past weekend, where we might see one or two players, like pretty much like a Jones, McAllister, Gravenberch decision, like two of those three, and then maybe every once in a while throw in a winger just to give Ekitike a little rest. But if Isak comes back, I don't know, in about 3 to 4 weeks, then you don't have to then worry about rotating the winger, because you're going to just rotate Isak and Ekitike. So I don't see much rotation for the rest of the year, and we're just going to just make pretty much 9 of those 11 guys play 95 minutes every day, every game until the end of the year, unless there's injury or suspension.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I understood why Kazi wanted that, but I felt like, man, you got two things to go for right now in your season. You don't want to risk it and hope that's, I mean, twofold, I think. You don't want to risk that and kind of rely on this rotation to get the job done. But at the same time, I do think because of our situation right now, it's a bit harder to do when you rotate and then you're like, oh, you know what? We have the bench. If things are not going well, we'll unleash the hounds. Like kind of like Klopp used to do. Like, okay, you guys couldn't figure this out. And then 60th minutes, he would send in, Mo and Bobby and stuff like that. You're like, you guys go open this defense up or whatever the situation might be. I feel like because it's a lot more fragile now, even at Anfield, that you don't want that to be the case and rely on that. I think having starters come off the bench, second half or something like that to turn the game around.
I just don't think there's enough to rotate though. Like, who do you start up front for true rotation like that when you want to bring in, the Havoc bench? If you want to bring in Ekitike, Mo, Gakpo, what do you start up front? Rio, Chiesa, and Morrison, right? Like there is no.
I can't remember who he said, but I know for a fact he wanted Rio to start.
Yeah.
Nioni, I think he was saying, and then Ramsey.
But it's such a lose-lose, because you go in strong, you win the game. You're like, well, I wish we would have rotated a little bit more. You rotate before the game, you get knocked out of the FA Cup. What the hell? Why did we go weak? It's just, I don't think there was a win-win out of that situation then, other than winning without injury. But
yeah, I don't blame him at all for going strong and going after him. Scott says to start Rio. I don't think you're going to start Rio anytime soon, and you can kind of see why. Like you can see the excitement he brings, and he takes players on, but you can also see the lack of strength and stuff like that, because he is still physically a kid, I think, and he can get like bullied off the ball. I do think, bring him along slower is probably the better way to go. He's not going to give you 45, 60 minutes like that, I don't think. So starting, I don't think is like the answer there. He might get more minutes. That's a different story. But yeah, Chris says, Chris actually says Isak, he won't be doing anything this season. I disagree. I think he's going to play. He can play. I'm not saying he will, but I think he can play like a pretty big role in this, eventually coming off the bench. And then, if we do the rotation, because we've seen that Ekitike can't do what makes Ekitike special for 90 minutes. So even if he gives 30 minutes rest and then the next game he gets the 60 and Ekitike gets the 30 and stuff, I think he can play a huge role for the season.
He's Isak's going to sub on the last 10 minutes of the Champions League final after the team is up 4-0, so that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, that was like a nice finish, by the way, too. Serzi is in the house. We said Gakpo, so he probably showed up over there. Isak,
we're similar goal. Wavelength here, Serzi and I. Yep. That's what we're gonna see. I just think it'll be 4-0.
25 million on Twitter over here live. Yes. To me, losing was a win yesterday. Never root for, but I better have crashed out. Focus on what's important. But it is important. I don't know. I feel like, that was, you only have 2 things to play for. So you go all in on those. I don't see why not. I know, everybody obviously is focused on the top 5 and all that. And another thing is, I think this team needs more wins, more confidence. You can kind of tell the way they play. Another clean sheets. I thought it was like, it was good in that sense. And plus, that was another reason I liked the fact that he started the starting lineup. These guys need to play together more. If you're seeing that what we were talking about on the left-hand side more and more, it's because it's the same squad playing it over and over and over again, getting used to playing with each other. And I think this is what this team needs right now. You do not know. Maybe after your Ramsey bets on Friday.
April Fool's Day? A little early.
Rio has played more minutes than anyone else. I did not know that. I mean, look, it's a no win, especially right now. Like I say, that's barometer that I use for the chats. We're like angry. Like I say, a couple of them said like Chiesa played better than Gakpo, which is literally comical because you would have to be blindfolded to come out with that after the game. Even Sergi over here, the biggest Gakpo hater, will tell you Gakpo played better than Chiesa. You literally have to be blindfolded to be able to make that comment. But there were a couple of those. But aside from that, it's like, oh, why isn't this guy going and why isn't that guy going? And it's like, geez, freaking guys, like Chris says, like just let the guy do his thing. I thought it was managed well overall. Maybe the last substitutions could have come like another 5 minutes earlier or something like that. But aside from that, like zero complaints. You had Rio out there, you had Ramsey out there, you rotated, you got Ekitike rest, but he still went out there. I thought that was important too. I thought it was like the best case scenario that it could be. Wait, what? I'm gonna get you and Sergi in a room together, and then let's see who comes out. My money's on Sergi. I haven't even seen Football Flashback, but my money would be on Sergi because all he does is hate on Gakpo and work out. So he must be able to, right? He must be able to beat him.
And I think it's also a good sign to have had Wirtz play one of his poorer games in the last month or so, that at least he's had, and the team's still comfortably winning, because I think we've had a lot of games where he's looked so great, but the rest of the team did not play well and the result was bad. And it was just frustrating, like looking at it going, what else can he do on the pitch? So to have a game where he didn't have to be the Wirtz that he has to be and have this team still comfortably win is a really good sign. So I think that was great overall too, to be able to see that, because this is not a sport where you can rely on one player to put in that kind of a shift every single game to save you every single game, because it's just not doable. There's too many players on the pitch to have to be able to do that.
Scott says Gakpo having one good game out of 7.
It's more than one.
It's been more than one. Like, for example, if you look at the Sunderland game, where that's when we really got into it with Sergi over here. But I thought, in the first half, he was our best player. Statistically, he was our best player. He gives an outlet to the long ball, because when we have to like get out of the press with the long ball, if you guys notice, it's usually going to the left, because that's where we have heights and we're relying on Gakpo to bring it down, or at least like challenge the right back for it. So he's key in that. And honestly, he does a lot. Go back this game, go back the Sunderland game, look at the defensive work he's doing. I know most people, when they watch a winger, they're like, I don't care about his defensive work. I want him to take on players and stuff. But that's part of the game right now. It has to be like, look at Mo, right? And he's nowhere near the defensive work that Gakpo is doing, by the way. And what did Mo say last year? I can do defensive work, but I won't be as good going forward. Well, I mean, just imagine the guy on the other side doing a ton more defensive work and still pretty effective up top, I thought. He did. I mean, I think over the last month, he's been better with Kirkes. If Kirkes has gone up, his performance, it's a lot due to what Gakpo is doing and how Gakpo is playing. I just don't understand the. He's been picked right now. So, I mean, like I say, if a dude can say Chiesa had a better game than Gakpo, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, people are literally watching to see things they want to see and not really the game at this point.
That's how it always is. Whatever you want the story to be, you're going to find the evidence and the justifications to do that. And I don't, it's again, no player is above criticism. So it's not like we're saying that he hasn't had moments that have been super frustrating, but to pick him out as the worst player on the pitch game after game, it doesn't lead to positive discussion sometimes because it just isn't true. And you know, you have to take a step back and be able to look at it a bit more objectively. Because I think emotionally, sometimes it gets the better of us and we want to just say whatever we feel without actually kind of rationally taking a think about it. So yeah, it's frustrating. But I know people are saying Rio is there, but clearly Rio is, whether it's the sports science team, whether it's Slot, Rio doesn't have the minutes that we want him to have. So there is no other player to put there right now outside of Gakpo. And it really isn't that horrible.
No, I mean, like, I don't get some of the. No, see, like, this is what we keep going back for. I mean, he did, yeah. I mean, he was basically not mature enough to kind of handle the criticism as well. I mean, we can kind of see where he's at. I mean, we know where he's at now because he got released from like Saudi as well. I think maturity level, that was a totally different thing. We're talking about criticism, or we're talking about, criticism. Is it based on something, or is it just because you are comparing him to that? And I think people people want Rio to play, so they want to bash Gakpo to get out of the way, is the feeling that I'm getting, because they want to see Rio. And they want to see the type of winger that Rio is, which is fine and dandy, because that's probably because, that's why people like Diaz, and we are missing Diaz, because you do need players like that. But I think, for example, like Sorzi's talking about him cutting in. If he doesn't cut in, that white space is not open for Kirkes to run into. And I feel like Kirkes is better running wider, like outside the winger, as opposed to like inside, like Bradley and Trent did. Even sometimes when Robertson did, like, cut inside the box, I feel like he's better going out wider. And that's how he got the assist, for example, like, this game. So I think what he has done overall, if you look at stats and stuff like that, has been actually pretty darn good. I just think he's not the type of winger maybe people want to see.
Yeah, I mean, well, I feel like we've moved away from those kinds of wingers just in general, like in the sport too. There was between the mid 2000s to like the early 20 or to the mid 2010s, we had those classic wingers that would just take you on, right, just from left and right side. And we've moved away from that to more possession based, where we didn't have those kinds of wingers. And then when you see someone like Rio, you almost get that little nostalgia of, oh, you remember when we had the wingers that would take players on like that. And so the problem there, though, is that sometimes those players are a little overconfident, right? And if just as easily as you can say, oh, well, all Gakpo does is cut in, well, all Rio does is step overs and then lose the ball, right? I mean, it just, you have to give him the time to be able to settle into a grown man's sport, because he's not going to be able to just do a couple cute step overs and get by every single defender in the Prem, because they're not going to fall for that. This isn't the U21s or the U19s that we see him tearing up. This is a different level.
It's like, and here's another thing that people do not understand. Like Sergi says, Rio came on and scored, which he did really well. And this is what I was talking about earlier. I think that's Rio's role right now, because people said that's to Chiesa. Coming into a game up 3-0 is a lot easier than starting a game that's 0-0. One, coming into a game when you're only down by one and being dangerous is a lot easier than starting the game at 0-0 and being dangerous, because now you have the other team all backed in and all you're doing is attack now. They're like defending for their life. And it's a lot easier role for them to be able to do that coming off the bench. People said this about Chiesa. We see it every time he freaking starts, regardless of like some people ignoring it and thinking he played better than Gakpo and stuff. He's not the same player when he starts as opposed to when he comes off the bench, because you're coming into a different situation when you come off the bench. You sit on the sideline and you watch some things. You're like, hey, you know, when I go in, I can do this. I can kind of like take advantage of this and stuff, for one. And two, you're coming into a more tired pitch. You are a lot fresher, obviously. His pressing at times is very Nunez like Chiesa, where like horrible angles, way over the top, unnecessary fouls to kind of like diminish everybody else's press that they're doing and stuff. I thought it was extremely cool. I'm not blaming the effort at all, but that's like the issue is some players are better coming off the bench as opposed to like starting the 90. And this like needs more minutes. Why can't he get another 5 minutes and stuff? Shouldn't we just worry about the freaking winning? I mean, just as long as you're winning, is like people find reasons to complain. Like I said, they're like 10 minutes to go. You're literally leaning back, watching a Liverpool game in the FA Cup, cruising, playing well, like you were saying too, not just winning easily, but playing well, winning easily. And people are like, how come Ramsey's not getting minutes? And they shut the fuck up and watch the game and enjoy the win and let the guy do his job. And then he came in and he played. Everybody gets. If you really want to be a manager, go get your goddamn license, start at the lower levels and move up. I mean, it's just like, you know, this is not freaking FIFA. You got to figure out that these guys practice every goddamn day and they're seen on the practice pitch every goddamn day. So for you to like brag over here and say, oh, why doesn't he play 6 minutes? Why does he play 8 minutes and stuff? It's like, shut the hell up. Like, you don't know. Like, I understand we all have our own opinions and stuff like that. Why doesn't this guy play more or whatever? Why doesn't he get a shine and stuff? But fucking like making a like bitching over 2 minutes is just kills me. Like, yes, should he come on earlier? Maybe another 5 minutes or so. Am I gonna go over the top, like lose it like I am now? No, because it pisses me out when people like freaking pick on that shit.
Whoa. Hold on. Are you saying that the coaching staff that sees these players every single day in training know better than us who do not? That's ridiculous. Because here's the thing.
Are you right now speaking for 25 million people? Because
here's the thing. I will speak for 25 million people right now. God damn it! Because here's the thing. And you know, this is not even close to the level of anything that we watch on the pitch. I coach high school freshman basketball. I had this past Friday a game. One of the kids, there's an A team and a B team. One of the kids on the B team got hurt during the game. His grandmother came over after the game and we were chatting a little bit. And she's talking about like, oh yeah, this guy, he is going to change the program around. And I'm like, ma'am, he's on the B team and his attitude is the worst attitude I've ever seen in practice. He doesn't practice well. All he does is whine and complain. He sits on the ground. What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? And right now it feels very much like the grandmother here is trying to see things that are not there. And you have to give credit to the people who actually see it every single day. And that's, I don't know where else I was going with that.
I bet you that kid has that attitude because he hears at home that he's the next coming.
Yes, that's the problem too. It's such arrogance that comes from him, even though he can't even get minutes on the A team. He started on the A team in the beginning of the year.
More minutes. Why don't you start him, huh? Yeah. Why don't you start him? See, it's the coach's fault. Mateusz out, people. Hashtag Mateusz out. Let this go on the social. Hashtag Polish Prince out.
I want to see 25 million people saying those hashtags.
This is the point. Do I agree in general that Slot doesn't touch? Chris says he recognized the limitations of youth. I personally think
Hold
he
on,
would
real quick.
probably, if things are going back. Go ahead.
Just real quick, how much of that youth has been his choice, though? That's the only thing I want to put in.
Oh, that's
Right?
fair.
Like, how much of Klopp's tots, so to speak, were guys that came in that were playing within that system for years before Klopp even used them, right?
Actually,
So
yeah.
there's the other point, that there is no youth that was bought by I mean, Slot's not buying any of the players, obviously, but you know what I mean, is that he doesn't have the same amount of trust because he hasn't the same amount of time with them.
See, we have another coach over here. Yeah, see, if you want to do it, get out and do it. So people have to I think, look, I mean, and we are going to like criticize manager. I'm not saying like these guys have been managers, so they shouldn't be criticized or anything like that. But questioning some like really small details when we don't know what's behind the scenes, especially with young players not getting minutes or this guy starting and stuff like that. And you can be freaking like I say, I think Chiesa is a good example because I don't think I've seen a start where I've been like, yeah, this guy should be starting regularly. Of course, when that happens, everybody's like, if he started 4 or 5 games in a row. Okay, so like what? Like, so you can have the patience with Chiesa, but you're not gonna have it with like Gakpo or somebody like that. But my thing is, I don't think it's the fact that he does not trust the youth. I mean, he does not, I think, trust the youth. Partially could be your reasoning. I think that's a good point over there. But I think part of it is because it's a lot easier to take one kid and throw him over in there when everything else is working like a well-oiled machine. And he's been in the system. He knows exactly what to do when he goes in there. And if he doesn't, there are 10 overachieving, well, maybe not overachieving, but at least confidence, successful guys playing around him. So it's a lot easier for that kid to be inserted into that spot, like a Rio or a Ramsey or whatever, if things are going well. When you're already struggling, you're kind of like trying to steady the ship. I mean, not to mention your freaking job is on the line by like millions of 25 million people. Twitter are like asking for you to get fired every day. You are going to make decisions that are like safer. And not to mention, it's probably better for the kids in the long run not to come into those decisions that, that he is not actually getting thrown into a situation where he's like set to lose or not succeed regularly and stuff. And I think this is, ideal world, you would have a lot more of these wins and he would get more regular minutes. I think Serzi was mentioning it earlier that he, like when they said we're not signing anybody because we don't want to block the way of Rio, because if you sign another left winger or if you had another winger right now, Rio is not getting even the minutes he's getting. So I understand that part of it, but you got to be able to comfortably win regularly to like earn more minutes over there. I don't know what evidence we have of this. I hear this a lot. I don't know about the man management or whatever. I almost feel like, and I know the chat can, and I know what you think, but, and I know you have to run. So before you run, like if his man management was so poor, you would not have a team that is fighting so much right now, almost like turning things around in many ways. If his man management was this bad after going through the spell they did, the misery they did, it's a lot easier for this team to be like, yeah, we can't play for this guy, man. We got to make a change. The fact that they fight so hard, doesn't that kind of show his man management is not as bad as people make it out to be?
I think that's the only thing that maybe not the only thing. One of the few things you can use as evidence is seeing the way that the players fight on the pitch in moments where they need to fight. There were moments under Klopp, the players seemed like they didn't fight as hard, and there are going to be moments under Slot where sometimes they don't feel like they're going to fight as hard. But in the last 2-3 months, when things were going really poorly, you didn't see. Yeah, you saw some players put their head down here and there. Maybe the on-field body language wasn't the best, but you still didn't see the players give up like they would if they truly didn't want to play under this manager. They didn't want to play. So yeah, it's a hard thing to try and talk about because we'll never be able to see behind the scenes of what the man management truly is like. Because man management, you will never see it on the pitch during a game. That is not something you see. It's all what happens before, after, not during. So yeah, that's the tough thing. And before I go, really quick, absolute shame. You should never ever put Mason Greenwood's name with Liverpool ever, even as a rumor. That's just ridiculous and disgusting. We should be better than that. There's no chance that that ever happens, that should ever happen, and that we should even consider typing that out, because the guy is a sick piece of shit of a human being, and that's ridiculous to even consider at any level whatsoever.
Yeah,
even in a
that
video
is
game.
not happening. Yes, that is just not happening. There is no way that would happen. Even if the club went over for it, before that even like becomes a signature, there'd be so many protests and stuff, rightfully so. And I'm not gonna root for that asshole. So people can come over here and be like, everybody missed the second chance and stuff. No, fuck that. That's the kind of chance that, that's the kind of category that I give you only one chance and I don't give you multiple chances. And I'm sorry. So, but hey, Matush, enjoy the rest of your Monday, man.
How do I go?
There you go. You're gone. Just like that, you're gone. As we wrap up over here, Scotty was saying that he was actually talking about management of squad and young players. I don't know. It's hard to tell because last year we had no injuries, right? So it wasn't like, why isn't he using these guys or anything? Like it wasn't that challenging in that sense. So there weren't a lot of injuries. And this season, like I say, I find it hard to judge him when your job is on the line. You don't want to probably turn to a 17-year-old kid. You'd rather have a more experienced player play out of position before rolling the dice. It's not a time to roll the dice, I think, for him. This is a good point over there, and I know what the rest of the chat thinks, but all these guys who we played against grown men are like now injury prone. They can take 5 steps before getting injured again. I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but it's a good point. It possibly could, that they were rushed in or they were like put into big boy men's soccer before they were men. Maybe I don't think people understand. We see like, oh, Yamal, look at Yamal though, he was like 16 and stuff. Like, how many of those guys are in thousands and thousands of players in top leagues, right? Just because there's one guy doesn't mean you have like 5 of them. Like, what are the chances that there's one guy over there who's doing it and you have 4 of them in your squad at the same time? It's not. It's like once in a lifetime. Like, it's a very, very rare occurrence for somebody that young to be able to do that. And like I say, it's hard to know, but that's a good point by Ray there. I mean, it could very well be that they were rushed in and played those games way too early. And I know it's changing. So not necessarily just because he's 17 doesn't mean like, oh, he's never gonna play either. But have to find give a time for it. I think he's talking about like minutes they were getting. I don't think they ever started. Either one of them started, but they played a lot of league games. They played a lot of minutes, and at the time we all loved it. Like I say, it might not have anything to do with it, but yeah, I mean, there is a thing to, you have to think long term. We don't have to, right? And I guess my thing is, what I really would wonder is, what does Rio think, or what does people who want the best for Rio think is more important than what? Because you don't care if Rio goes out there and becomes, gets injured after like 3 games or plays poorly and goes into oblivion. Because you're just going to look at the U21s. You're like, how come this kid doesn't get more minutes? You're just going to go to the next one. Okay, let's be honest with that, because like as fans, you are just looking for the sake of Liverpool only. You gotta kind of think of the player. That's not how the club works or how the club should work. Club should be doing what's best for the club long term and not go through these freaking like players like they're just like they're like, oh, whatever, I guess he got hurt, we shouldn't have played him. Oh, well, and then move on to the other one. Not to mention, this is a valuable asset. These are valuable assets for the club. So if you mature it and if you nurture it right, if he becomes a star, you're creating a guy that's worth like 80 million, 100 million, 120 million, just because some bozo on Twitter wants him to play 4 more minutes. You don't want to derail a career that's going to benefit you in the long run and save you 100 million from like buying a winger and stuff. So that's what the club thinks of. As fans, you don't give a damn. In most cases, I'm not talking about you guys in the chat over here, but in most cases, people who say, oh, who cared about Ramsey about 2 months ago? Did anybody even mention Ramsey 2 months ago? Nobody freaking cared, right? Did we care about Ramsey last year? No one cared. So for like, we just see a young player and we're like, hey, why doesn't he play? Why doesn't he play? And then if he doesn't, oh, I guess he was shit, or oh, he got injured. Well, how come he doesn't play? Like, and then we just go to the next one, like spoiled children in a freaking toy store. It's just like, let the club, let the guys who see these guys daily make those decisions. We're gonna have opinions and we might have wishes. I consider those more wishes and say, I wish he played more. But it's totally like different, I think, when it's the club and it's the guys who see them day in and day out over there. Ramsey Don the Penguin was even a bench player under Klopp. He was, wasn't he? I can't remember how like the first days of Jones. I just remember the first days of Jones. Everybody was really high on him. Then everybody like kind of like dissed him. I'll be honest with you. Initially, I was not that big on Jones because of he was like almost playing overconfidence, and that's semi nice to see. But at the same time, you got to know your spots and do certain things when it calls for it. Now you see him doing it, but he's done it and he's a lot more comfortable. So that's gonna be kind of like different. But this is exactly my point. So all these people saying like, oh, we should use more young players. You don't give a fuck about young players. That's a lie. You don't care about young players. It's not because we should play more youth. It's because you just want to see this guy. And I get this, the same thing with Fanatic. Let's see how he does. It doesn't work like that. When my job is on the line, I'm not going to throw him out there so you can see like how he does, like Rio or Chiesa and stuff like that. I just do not understand why people like who are constantly banging the drum. How come Ramsey is not starting? Let's see. I saw a dude say, let's see how he does. Yeah, because you don't care. If he sucks, you're like, oh, I guess he was shit. Slow was right. If he does well a couple of games, then you're like, oh, this guy is the next big thing. And then if he gets injured or if he doesn't, if he's just average, you're like, yeah, I guess he wasn't that good. How come Morrison doesn't start? And you're just going to move on to the next guy. That's what that kind of aggravates me with this minutes management. Like, it's like a basketball team. It's like, how come he doesn't get more minutes in the rotation kind of a thing? It's just like with young players, you have to kind of trust the club. I mean, I hate to say it, but you have to trust the club. When we're seeing them regularly, like if they're coming off the bench doing something, they start like a League Cup game, they start something else, then maybe you can be like, oh, I wish, like you can have more opinions on him. I don't know how much of Ramsey that people have seen that they think it's like the best thing ever. You can't put Ramsey with Mo in front of him, makes it easy for the opponent just attack down our right. Yeah, I mean, look, you're playing Szoboszlai out of position, but I understand why he's not rolling the dice and playing a guy who was not played under Klopp either, by the way, and trusted. So it's not just his age, apparently, right? And I know he was often injured, but he didn't get opportunities when he wasn't injured either. So I just don't blame him for picking somebody else. Pep plays a midfielder right back, says Ray. Yeah, look, if Klopp did this, it would be fucking genius. When Klopp played, okay, you know what? Okay, here we go. Here we go. When Klopp played Fabinho and Henderson, a center back, instead of playing a young Reece Williams, who was the kids, the French kids, who's a center back, huge dude. It was in the youth team. He was supposed to be the next big thing, and then I don't know where he is now. I can't remember his name. I'm getting really old over here. But like nobody was like, hey, how come he's not playing these guys? They're young. No, it's just a matter. Yes, that's who it was. Where are they now? Episodes we have to use them for. So there are players that were available then in the youth team, and he did not play him, and nobody questioned it. Same thing with Pep, like he's playing, nobody questions it. If Slot wasn't under so much fire, this would be considered genius, probably, that he's playing a midfielder at right back in an injury crisis, and the team is still clicking, blah, blah, blah. It's like a narrative based on like the agenda and what you are trying to push. Klopp did that week in and week out. We had guys who were center backs, and midfield just freaking collapsed, mind you, when we did that. And nobody said anything then. So when the manager gets the credits, or is not under constant fire, it's a lot easier to be like, let's do this over here, let's try that over there, because it's not nitpick. People are, after a successful game, nitpicking why a player is not playing 6 minutes, not 8 and shit. That's where we're at right now, unfortunately. So that's why it's hard to take people with those agendas seriously and really think they are after what's good for the club, as opposed to just find another avenue to kind of like take a shot at the manager, is the way I look at it. Man, I saw Valverde's goal this week, by the way. I would have that's a player that I would have loved to have. I know we were rumored, I think it was just like the increase his price at the time, but we were rumored like maybe like 3-4 seasons ago, when we were like before this midfield rebuild, his name was popped around. But I think, like I say, it was just more to get like a better contract out of Real than anything else. I was excited just at the possibility at the time. Van der Berg, with how much he's played at Brentford, not saying he's good enough. I don't know, man. Like with center backs, with a lot of positions, I guess there's a difference between playing for Liverpool and there's a difference playing, as opposed to like Dunk, right? Like, do you want Dunk? Would Dunk be successful at Liverpool? I don't think so. So it's a matter of, like the team you're playing at, the level you're playing at, the opposition, the kind of tactics you face from the opposition. I'm not saying like these are like horrible teams or in the Premier League, but what you play against is a huge ordeal as well. So it's a lot, like everybody was like Nat Phillips. Nat Phillips was not like a Liverpool center back under regular conditions, just not. But he put his head everywhere. So he would be a great guy, and he would be our pain in the ass when we played against him in a game where there's a low block. He's like, God damn, this guy is clearing everything, diving in front of everything. But on a team where you have more of the possession and you had to be good on the ball and stuff like that, those are like very different things, and you kind of have to look at it that way. So I think the same thing with, yeah, it kind of is. I like Tyler Morton. He was good and was at Hull as well in Championship. But I think the thing with Morton is like, who you have to get rid of somebody. You have, because I don't want to hear over here, how come Morton is only getting minute and 30 seconds and not minute and 45? Who are you getting rid of from this midfield and saying Tyler Morton will be better than them? That's the issue. I mean, I think, he was talking about this weekend, for example, that he is, he has the depth in midfield. That's, yes, I mean, exactly. Like Sorzi says, there's just too many guys in that position. If he was, any other line, who was he talking about in terms of getting more minutes? Oh, I think he was talking about Jones. When he was talking about like Jones in the post-match, he was mentioning that, like if that area wasn't so crowded, Jones would get probably more minutes. But that's the only area that we have depth in right now, to be honest with you. The front line is kind of in shambles. The back line is kind of in shambles, or not deep, I should say, at least. And you don't even have a right back. So I think that's like a difference over there with Morton over there. You can't keep everybody. And, like Van der Berg, I think somebody was mentioning, he wanted out because, it's the same thing with Kelleher. Yeah, Kelleher would be a great backup. Why go sign somebody else? But it's not just us. There are other teams, and these people have lives and a career. So they want to go and play regularly, and they want to start. And, if you're Sepp and you're like, okay, I'm never starting over freaking Van Dijk, and then, I'm going to battle with these 2-3 guys for this one spot over here, as opposed to I can go over somewhere and be a regular starter, kind of build my value, and then go to another team again. I can understand why a kid's, he wasn't a kid when he went either. I think he was early 20s, right? So I can understand why a player would want that. Same thing with Kelleher. It is going to be part of the ordeal where it's not easy to be a starter at Liverpool. This is a big club. This is a big team. So not everybody is going to get an opportunity, regardless of if they could be good, but they might not get an opportunity because you have to be really, really, really freaking good to be a regular part of the squad on this team. So, nobody's complaining about that. No complaints about that from me. I can tell you that that he had to go over there. I was mad at one point. I think I said this over here. There was a chance that Fenerbahce could get Nunez and Costas at the same time, and literally I think my head would blow up, and just like I would not have to be away from soccer for like months if both of them appeared at the same time. But neither happened. Luckily, is Costa still? Did they keep him at Roma at the end, or did he go somewhere else? Because I know there was talk about him coming back, but kind of like Red Rebellion saying he couldn't come back anyway unless somebody left, and obviously nobody left. So I don't know if he's still at Roma, like we never called back, or what happened to him. But he's some kind of a legend. He won us the. If I don't know where John is, but John would tell us that he won us the FA Cup. So there's that. Good morning. It's tad late though. I'm about to wrap things up, but you came in at a great time for this over here. I'm gonna shoot the link, so I'm hoping you guys can kind of give it a watch after this live show is over. Please do go to the link, watch. It's not a fundraising effort, because I know at the moment I say foundation and stuff, everybody's like, like times are tough, kind of a thing. We're not even asking for any money or anything like that. All we're asking is for you to spread the words and get nominees for the award. So kind of take a look at the link. We had George from the foundation on here, someone with a medical condition they are looking to send to Anfield yearly as an Anfield trip. Kind of started with like Stephanie, who they managed to do the trip, like a trip to see a couple of games over there, who was actually a United fan. They went to a United game, Anfield and stuff like that. But she did sadly pass away afterwards. She was in remission, I think, at the time George was saying, but then the cancer came back and she did pass away. So they said, hey, let's do this in her name, in her honor, kind of a deal. So that's what they're doing. So please give it a watch, and more importantly, please do share it. If you have any nominees, somebody that you would want to nominate, it's a really, really cool thing they're doing, and the goal is over time to grow this more and more. Like I say, initially when George contacted us, I thought it was going to be more about fundraising, which I was all for, because like anything we can do. But yeah, we don't even have to fundraise. The funds have been raised. All we have to do is spread the words, get some nominees over there. So please check the video out, give it a thumbs up, share it in your socials if you can. Would really, really appreciate it. Man, the chat too. This is the Costas effect. See, the chat just went wild when the Costas thing came out. Pussy me. Costas. Okay. That's it for me today. Not today, I guess, for the morning. I'll be back tonight at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, with Paul and Gally over there. We'll talk a lot more about some of the stuff we talked about, and we'll start looking ahead to the Forest game, who's actually playing with their new manager Vitor against Fenerbahce, who canned them twice, actually, not even once, twice this Thursday. So they will have played the game away at Istanbul before they face us on Sunday. I think that's a huge advantage to us, but we'll talk all about that tonight. Please do join us. Go check out that video. Please go check out the video. If you're not following the channel, give us a follow. Hit the like button. I'll tell you guys right now, I think we have like 18 live viewers. It shows right now. We have 12 likes, so I do appreciate that. Hit that like, hit the subscribe. I'll see you guys tonight. Take care.